What's up, everybody? So here I am, kind of live, waiting for Hastings again. I've kind of been jumping early. He'll be here. Promise you, he'll be here. I think you all know that. Um, yeah, Scotty. He always puts his daughter to bed right now, so that's part of the reason why sometimes he's a little late. He might be sleeping too. We'll see. I don't think that's the case tonight, but we'll find out. But I just wanted to jump on death taxes and backside shooters wide open. Also, death taxes and unfortunately giving up the first goal of the game every dang time. And I think oftentimes Georgie is a victim of some rough defense. That first goal tonight, I'm not so sure that was the case. He just didn't know it was under his pad. I don't know how nobody seemed like the LA shooter knew it and nobody else did, but whatever. The Avs are 8-8. We'll see how they end up tonight. Even if they go 8-9, they found a way, in my mind, to tread water, which I think is so important. They found a way to tread water here. They're supposed to get some guys back. If you hadn't heard the news, Coach Bednar saying, I believe to the boys this morning on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, the morning show, Bednar joins them every Wednesday unless there's some sort of conflict. But Bedsy is one of the best coaches in the business about always making his coach's show. Something that I hope as fans you can appreciate. He doesn't bad loss, whatever it is, he's always there talking about it. But yeah, it looks like Jonathan Drouin is going to be back on Friday. Miles Wood is ramping up. And of course, it's official. The return of Val Nichushkin is coming up on Friday as well. So the Avs are starting to get some reinforcements back. That's really good news for the Avalanche. We'll see how the Nichushkin thing goes. If you're out there and you're watching, I'm kind of curious, how do you feel about this? There are a lot of strong, spicy opinions when this happened 6 months ago, and I get it. I think we all felt the same way. It's just, if you've ever been in a relationship and somebody lets you down, whatever that was, whatever the reasons were, cheating or whatever, who knows, just not keeping promises, not changing behaviors. I think we all can relate to how that feels, right? But the reality is Val's back and they need him. They need him. I'm happy he's back, frankly, because I just think that, this team needs a big body in front of the net. I think it shows up more and more. Certainly showed up a couple nights ago in Winnipeg, or gosh, was that a week ago already? Time just flies, it feels like, during the football season. But in Winnipeg, you need a big body to take the eyes of Hellebuck away. That's just the reality. They won 4-1 in the series against Winnipeg last year with them being the higher seed because you had a body like Val to take the eyes away. When you didn't have that body in the Dallas series, obviously that hurts you. So I'm looking forward to Val Nichushkin getting back on the ice. I truly hope this time everything he's had to go through is behind him. I don't know what it exactly is he's dealing with, but it seems like something that probably never goes away. So hopefully, getting back into the life, he'll be able to manage it better this time than the last time through. Because again, the Avs need him. They need Wood. They need Drouin. They need to get Colton back. At some point, I hope we can have a discussion about should Ross Colton go back to the first line when he's healthy again after that broken foot. I think one of the, even though they've done all right since Colton's gone out, he's one of the low key killer injuries. He just kind of plays like a smaller version of Gabe, maybe a poor man's version of Gabe Landeskog. So yeah, I don't know. This is I'm just glad they've made it to this point where they're finally going to get some of their NHL bodies back and they're only at 500 as a record. I think you aren't in so bad. You're not like Edmonton a year ago, right? Where you got to dig out of things and make this strong climb and things are harder than they have been. So, I've got good feels about the Avs right now. I'm a little frustrated with some of the same sort of patterns continuously playing out the way that they have. But again, the reality is you're even money, and I think so that puts you in pretty good shape. You guys, I don't know. Are you, if you're out there, if you're watching, and I think we're on all the popular comment sites. I know we're not on Twitch tonight, so if you got anybody that's a Twitch watcher, maybe let them know we're over here. Twitch, again, we're kind of dealing with, we can only do 3. And I need to grow the YouTube channel because that's just the way that business is done these days. So we're going to, do the YouTube thing. I see Scott now. I'm going to let Scott in. All right, buddy, we're live already. I went and got going so we could kind of hang close to the time that we wanted to get everybody on. Talking about the Avs game, death taxes, and backside shooters. But you know what? They're about 500, right? Even if they lose tonight, they're getting some guys back Friday. They're at 500. I think for all the guys they were missing, that's about as best as you could ask for.
Well, I think for me personally, I've said this with the Nuggets, and I'll say this: I think it's the same thing with the Avs, and it may be even more pertinent with the Avs because of all the injuries. But I mean, Nuggets are dealing with no Aaron Gordon for probably another handful of games. Also, Miss Murray for 3. You got to figure out who you are for 20 games, and there's a major panic for the Avs after the first 4 games. I mean, now to be 500 after going 0-4 to start the season, it just is what it is. This team's got to figure out who it is. Wood's close to come back. Nichushkin comes back Friday. You're going to start getting bodies back in there, and then you're going to see probably around game 20 that this team kind of figures out who their identity is and who they are and what they can be, and I think you'll start seeing them play better.
Well, you know what I think they have figured out, Scotty, and I give them credit for it, and I think they got to keep playing this way. Now, they're going to get Druin back on Friday. They're going to get Nichushkin back on Friday, but, then those guys are going to take probably a minute to ramp up. Druin got hurt, the first game of the year or whatever, so it's not like he's got to be in complete tip-top shape. You would think Val would be in great shape because that's all, but I don't have to tell you, you're a former athlete. Game shape, adrenaline gets going, all that stuff. Yeah. But I think they've learned they can't play so wide open. I wish they'd quit. I wish they'd quit giving up the backs. I don't know how much of the game you could watch. I know you had an event with your daughter tonight. The very first goal of the game, because it's 2-1 right now. Very first goal of the game, the puck gets stuck on the leg pad of Georgie. He doesn't know it's there. LA shooter goes in, scoops it out, shoots it in. I don't think any of the Avs defensemen saw it. It just was one of those deals. So they gave it up in the first minute. They got to quit doing that. But then the late goal that gave the Kings the lead, again, it's just a wide open backside guy that nobody, there ain't a goalie on the planet that's going to stop it. They got to quit giving those up, man. They just got to quit giving those up. So,
well, it's no different in any sport. I've always said that all sports are the same. You can change the X's and O's. But when in pro sports in particular, when a team or when a league decides, here's your weakness, guess what the league's going to do? Attack your weakness. And I don't remember who I talked to recently, but it was somebody with the Avs, and they basically said, yeah, I talked with one of the players, and they said, man, everybody's trying to get to our backside all the time now. Well, guess what? That's called video and scouting, right? If you can't stop the run, say Denver, the Broncos were horrible at stopping the run. Guess what they see a whole load of with Robinson this week when Atlanta comes in? They'd see the run the whole time. It's the same thing in basketball. Now, here's what they're going to try to do. Here's the good thing the Nuggets did. They start playing fast. Guess what they are? They're better at half, or better playing fast. They get up and down, and now you can't double Joker, right? Because everybody's moving. You're going to have a little guy switch on him in transition, and things are going to get all messy. And now all of a sudden your offense is going to roll. But now walking it up, let teams get set in their defense and be able to pound back down in the post and see if guys can make shots on the outside when it's kicked out. They're going to take their chances with that. Denver's won. I think they've scored their last 4 wins. They've scored over 120 points a game. You're not going to beat them. You're not going to beat them if you let them score 120 points. I think they're 7-3 on the season. I think they're 7-0 when they score 120 points. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. Teams watch film, they scout. And if the backside is always open, and you and I have had many a personal conversation talking about it, when you saw when I jumped on debt, taxes, and backside goals.
Yeah.
I mean, the league knows.
Right.
They know. If you can put some pressure on the front side and you see a gap to swing it to the weak side, you're going to get a good shot on goal every time.
Shane asked, are we live now? And I see he's already seen the response. Yes, we're live now, guys. We do this every Wednesday as our usual sort of extended night where we talk a little bit of everything. We're going to see about Friday. We try to jump on and do some post games for the Nuggets after you get done calling games. And sometimes we like to do watch longs, but you know what? Look, man, it's the hot mic. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would help us out. If you haven't done that before, it's After Hours with Andy Lindahl, because I try to do a few things on there, but this is mainly what the YouTube channel's for. I may start messing around with my guitar, play a little guitar, have a couple of the friends come over and sing, because I don't think I'm ever going to play a bar
let's
again.
Let's do that on the Tuesdays and Thursdays when Scott's not here.
No, we won't do it with you. Although maybe I ought to. I ought to play Scotty Doesn't Know for Scott Hastings. That's what I ought to do.
No, we ought to do. I can tell the story. Our first time up, we took you up to the cabin in the mountains, and you got one of those mics that's about, or one of those amps that are about this big, and you're just. I mean, you'd probably 3 weeks into teaching yourself how to play the guitar. You go, listen to this, and I remember you put your foot up on the fireplace. Wait. Wait.
You want me to go get the acoustic now? I can get the acoustic now. Here's the funny thing. What I love about it is I used to try to play the song you're describing is Damn It. But what I was trying to play for you that day was Time of Your Life because I thought you would like it.
Alexa, stop.
Well, I like the original.
Right. You didn't need it up there. It's all good. Yeah. You're a supportive friend.
No, it was so funny because, I mean, you had the Michael Jordan tongue out. You were digging it, dog. I
was hell bent to do it. It didn't work out, though. I'll give you this. It was not a good rendition. There was a guy that, they make those dumb action figures they'll show you. And I saw one time, I almost bought it and sent it to you because I just thought you'd laugh your ass off. It said asshole at the campfire, and it was the guy with the guitar. I should have bought it for you. But I didn't. So anyway, all right, man, let's get back to some sports talk again. Keep the questions coming.
I got one more music question for you. Here's a bass question. Other than Sting, are there any great bass guitarists that sing?
Yeah, Mark Hoppus, Blink 182.
He's a good.
He sings the song that you're always making fun of me playing.
The warden just said, I said good singer.
Yeah, the warden's music taste is trash, and you need to put your Christmas tree back in the shed. So that's all I got to say about that.
We haven't been on since it. Have you seen this?
Yeah, there it is. You put it in a different spot.
I know.
No, hold on.
Yeah, the warden.
Kind of a new spot, but it's just the first.
Fair enough.
I was proud of my daughter. I get a picture sent to me tonight from Ashley, who has a 9-month-old, and she has a Christmas tree up in the baby's room already.
Oh, good for her. Yeah. I told you when I went to Kansas City in 2016 with the Broncos, I brought some string lights. Like, people are like, what are you doing? I go, dude, we got to have some Christmas up in here. I don't want to just, did you ever do that as a player? Probably not. You probably weren't as worried about it then, but I literally got out some string lights and I watched Home Alone, and that's what I did just to try to feel something near Christmas in this starch hotel room. I remember I went with Andrew Mason to Jack Stack. You ever eat there?
Oh,
Jack Stack is so good. So we were able to get an Uber and get in there before Jack Stack shut down for the evening because it's Christmas Eve night. And I remember as we're driving home, I'm thinking all the who down in Whoville or whatever it is. I'm driving by all these houses and people I felt like the old man, in Home Alone, that's seeing all the people go in to greet their families and he's out there shoveling the snow. I don't know, man. It was so just depressing. I'm like, everybody's here having their Christmas, and I'm going back to this dang hotel room. So
I remember the worst one I did was with a player, and this is when you got the haves and have-nots on teams.
Right.
And I'm with the Pistons, and we're playing Christmas Day in Chicago. And this is before they had like 6 or 7 games. You might have like one big game or whatever, and at that time, Pistons and Bulls, I mean, that's a big game.
Right.
Now, none of the players gave a flip and really wanted to play. Get on that plane in Detroit to head off to Chicago, not a long flight. On Christmas Eve, you leave I think they let us leave a little bit later that night in case we wanted to do something. So I think we left like at 6 or something. I look up there. No Isaiah, no Joe Dumars, no Bill Lambert, no Mark Aguirre. About 5 or 6 of the stars, right? We had a short bench. About 5 or 6 of the stars decide, we're staying. We're gonna be with our kids Christmas morning, and we got a charter flight that they paid for, that they flew in day of the game in the morning. We played at like 2, and they flew in like at 10 in the morning.
Dude, so I got to tell you, that's a great story. By the way, Crystal, our gal Kat, wants to know what the hell's wrong with you, Paul McCartney, bass player, great voice. That good enough? That good enough for Julia? Yeah.
Well, you know what? Paul McCartney started there, but wouldn't you call Paul McCartney now? I mean, he's just a musician.
Sure.
I mean, he's great on the piano. I mean,
well, most of those guys are. Most of these musicians play more than one thing. So,
real
quick though,
I forget that.
I got to tell you, I chickened out. See, Ed had got us flights on Southwest for the morning of Christmas of that Christmas game. And I was going to go, and then there was a little bit of snow in the forecast, and I chickened out. And I should have just trusted and went with Ed. But I figured Ed could get away with not showing up. I'd get fired.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it a late game or early game?
No, it was at night. It was Christmas night. They did I call it the fat Tebow touchdown, because they put their D tackle in there and he went and did the jump pass like Tebow did. They were whooping our butts. Trevor Siemian was quarterback. It rained the entire freaking time. Terrible. So Rob tells us, our guy Rob says on that apparently the Max app, by the way, Mike or Levi Wheeler, I'll play music some other time. I promise you. Or maybe I won't. But I appreciate you having half an interest there, Levi. Rob says the Max app isn't working, so we'll have to tell him again. The game's on TNT tonight, guys. If you didn't know or you weren't aware, you can watch TNT. It's national. It's 2-1, 17-14 left to go in the second period, so they're just underway, and the Avs are down. Kings got a late goal to go up 2-1. Kings got the first goal of the game like it was 50 seconds in, and they had scored. And then the Avs got another one. I think it was Ranton and got it back. I believe it was even strength, but I might be wrong. But nonetheless, all right, the Avs just won possession again. Oh, I cannot wait for Friday when they can get – boy, we got Nuggets and Avs again on Friday. I'm just realizing that. Because the Nuggets begin the Emirates Cup tournament Friday. I know you're psyched.
I mean, I like every basketball game. They're important, but this is a way, and they're probably making – $20 million or $30 million off this thing. So it's good.
Hey, describe the court. I haven't seen the court yet. What's the Nuggets court look like? You said it's mainly yellow with maroon.
It looks like it's almost a gold court with some inlays and the minor thing in the middle, and the lanes are, I think most lanes are this way, or the NBA Cup trophy, and it's surrounded in burgundy. Kind of that old burgundy back in the blue and burgundy days.
The Mutombo one.
It's a heck of a lot better than last year. That blue court last year was just god awful.
Do they have uniforms, by the way? Are there special uniforms for this, or do you just wear whatever? Is it just the court?
I thought they did. I know that everybody this year is dropping City Edition uniforms.
Okay.
So I know there's a new City Edition. And again, what a revenue maker. I mean, every time, especially if you hit, I would spend money on whoever designs uniforms and stuff, because every year, if you hit a good one, dude, people are rushing to buy those things. And especially, here's another thing, think about it. It'd be smart if they're putting those new uniforms out for the Cup, because guess what? It starts right before Christmas. Guess what every fan wants? They want that new cool old school D helmet, or even the military game that happened last week. I mean, I love those hoodies. You were wearing one of the older ones today, but I love the ones they had this year, the little white camo ones. Those are sweet looking. So
yeah, I won't lie to you. I thought about going to get one, but they're sold out everywhere, especially the size that I like. So
a real big.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that 3X because it's super long. Those are warm. I'll tell you, they're warm. Now, the other thing was those are like $100 because I think some of the money goes to the military, which is fine, but it's basically mine, but it's white. And so I was like, all right, maybe I shouldn't. I need to save some money and not go buying yet another military sweatshirt. By the way, the Avs, I think Rantanen just got taken down. I think the Avs are about to go on another power play, which they have been lethal there this year. All right.
You know, one more thing to stick with the Ezra Fest, and I'd like to see them get better out as the season starts progressing. And it just seems like it to me. I want to see if you notice it or if you think this is valid. They got to start winning more faceoffs.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand with as many skilled players as they have, how they're not better on faceoffs. I don't understand that.
You got it. It's funny you say that. They just won one back to Malinsky, who fired a shot and went into the screen. By the way, they did not call what looked like a tripping, and so we're still even. But we're now at the 15:33 there for our guy Rob. 2-1 again on the game's on TNT. Feel free to pop it on and listen to us. We'd really like that. Much obliged if you do. No, they've been struggling for a face-off guy for a while. JT Compher was one of their guys who was pretty good at it there for a bit. Kadri could win a face-off for you. You know, when you needed to too. I just feel like that's, again, you start to lose depth, right? You know this from the NBA. You start to lose depth, and sometimes those depth guys are your best face-off guys. I think Landy, somebody help me out here in the comments if you can. I thought Landeskog is a pretty good face-off guy too. They haven't had him in a bit, you know? Yeah. You just are missing the guys that you need to win these face-offs. It just is, but I'm with you. That was why Johansson, when they brought in Johansson last year, one of the reasons why they thought they could live with less speed from him was that they thought he'd win a lot of faceoffs, which he did do. But he was just, you know what's interesting? It was funny because they played Nashville the other night, and they were talking about how it just isn't working in Nashville. Nashville went inside a bunch of older guys. Have you ever experienced this in the NBA where sometimes guys are just so set in their ways they won't do things differently? Like, I wonder if that's what's going on in Nashville, because Johansson was kind of that guy. I don't think he ever wanted to try to do things the way the Avs wanted him to do it.
Well, there's two scenarios that are bad when you're talking about older players. One is when you get a young management, young coaching system, and they want to rebuild, but you're the old dude on the team, and you're like, you guys are the dumbest people I've ever been around in my entire life.
And I ain't doing it that way.
It depends on the
Remember, Stink would tell us. He would even tell Alex Giz sometimes, we ain't doing it that way.
And then there's the team that just allows the guys to get too old, and it's not that they won't do new stuff. They can't, right?
Gotcha.
I mean, body wears out. I remember when I got traded from Detroit to Denver. I mean, I went from a Hall of Fame coach and 3 or 4 dudes that are in the Hall of Fame playing, which, in my opinion, especially if you play our rules, would kick any of the today's team's butts. Nate, correct me in case you check in on any of this stuff.
He won't. I'll have to tell him. We got to get you two together on air.
Yeah,
save it for when you two together on air.
But I came from that system, that just the way you did things. I mean, I had a meeting my first day after my first day of practice up in Canada. We practiced up in Windsor, and Bill Lambier took Dave Greenwood and myself out for dinner, and he goes, "This is how things run." He said, "We do everything. Our job is to protect the guards." He said, "Someone knocks our guard down, we knock their guards out of the game." I mean, it was. What was that old that movie with Kevin Costner and James Bond guy Connery with the Chicago Way, the one about Scarface. What was it? Was it Scarface? Was that the name of the movie?
No
idea.
idea.
He has a big speech with Elliot Ness. If you're going to do it, he said, "Here's what you got. They put one of yours in the hospital. You put one of theirs in the morgue. They pull out a knife. You pull out a gun." And it was straight out of that type of speech. This is the Piston way, right? They knock one of our guys down. We knock one of theirs out of the game. I mean, honest to God, he said that. But I go from that type of environment to here with a coach that wants to, I don't know what West End wanted to do, play at 130 with guys that, he wanted to run races with quarter horses. It wasn't going to work. And he just brought in two guys who'd never been in the NBA as assistant coach, and they were the dumbest coaches I've ever been around in my life. I mean, they were just – and so here I am, a 10-year vet, and Dikembe's rookie year, and I worked hard with Dikembe, did a lot of stuff with Deke. But these were the dumbest coaches I'd ever been around in my entire life, and I'm listening. I probably told you this before. I don't know if I told on the podcast. We're in Colorado Springs practicing 2 days. We're having training camp down in Colorado Springs, the Air Force Academy. And we're doing a drill. Back then there was a big drill. Everybody had bigs, and they did block to block screens, one big on a one big. So I'm walking down with one of the assistant coaches, nice guy, clueless for the NBA. And I just came for the Pistons. And I go, okay, how do you want us to play this? How do you want us to defend this? And we're about to do this drill. He goes, well, I don't know. That's a good question. You're leading the drill. He goes, Paul Weston. How do you want me to defend this drill? Paul goes, I don't care. However it feel. And it's the only time I've lost it as a player with a coach. I go, any way we want to do it, any way we want to effing do it. I said, why are we even practicing if it don't matter how we're going to play it in a game? Why are we practicing? Let me show you. There's 3 ways you do it. So now I get him in the drill. First one, you get over the top, you run to the screen, you hit the guy low, and you push him out of bounds. And I apologize for whoever it was, and I am beating the crap out of anybody in this drill. It's like I'm watching guys now, like are backing off out of bounds because they don't want to be the next guy in the drill. Hey, now we're going to push it on top. Now I shove this dude all the way to the free throw line. He ain't getting the block on me. How do you want to do it? That's how you do it. What do you mean you don't care how we do it? Then why are we doing the effing drill? And I walked off and got a drink of water after I literally laid wood on about three dudes in a row. And then I just walked off of the drill.
They were a bunch of young guys too.
That's when you've got a veteran that's been around the greatest players in the world, has an NBA championship, and you're working with a dumbass coach that doesn't know how to coach.
So see, it's funny you'd say that. Because I wanted your perspective on this, so it's perfect. Nate and I, because Malone is about to, is he about to tie or beat Doug Moe's record?
I think he's
either going to tie him or beat him. So.
Yeah, he was 2 from tying him last game they won, so I think he's 1 from tying, 2 to take it.
Regardless, he's going to be the all-time winningest Nuggets coach, right? So we were talking about greatest coaches in Denver history today. Shanahan's obviously at the top. Nate put Malone at 2. Now, the side discussion with this was beloved. Beloved and best were 2 different things because Malone's in the Twitter era, and so people want to take him to task. Oh, the Avs are getting some chances not be able to put it home. But anyway, I had said, like, we went and I think Nate's it was Shanahan, Malone, Bednar, Dan Reeves, and Doug Moe. Those were his guys, okay? And I didn't really have a problem with that list. But then we went to worst coaches because people wanted to talk worst coaches. And I told Nate put up there Brian Shaw. I go, man, I think Paul Westhead was the worst Nuggets coach. So you were around both. Would you say that's fair?
I would say Westhead's the worst, and here's why. He was a veteran coach. He had been a coach for 15, 20 years at different levels, college, whatever. He's supposed to be experienced, and he didn't have a clue what the hell he was doing. Brian Shaw made a young coach's mistake. He was like a lot of coaches. He wanted to win, and he was telling the franchise what they needed to do to win. The franchise wouldn't do it. His biggest mistake, and again, he's a young first-time coach. He comes in there, he's got some veteran guys, and all he did was say, well, when we were the Lakers, when I was with the Lakers, we did this. And when I was the Lakers, we did this. And he was always comparing the team to the Lakers.
Really?
And if you remember when Andre Miller got suspended and then they eventually traded him, the rub of what I was told, and I love Brian to death. I think he's a great guy, and I just thought he was put in a tough position. And I'll tell you another story why also. Um, but Andre Miller says, Brian, you didn't do He said, that was Kobe and Shaq. You want to know what? We ain't got no Kobe and Shaq in here. So don't be doing this. You sat on your ass on the bench and didn't do squat. Don't be telling us that you did all this with the Lakers. That was Kobe and Shaq. So they got in a heated argument, blah, blah, blah. Andre was traded soon thereafter, and Brian was fired, I think, by the end of the year. But I also saw this. And this is what's tough for all young coaches, first time. You want to get a head coaching job. And you can't always be picky, like, hey, I want to go to the Nuggets. They got a guy who's already won 2 MVPs. You don't usually get that. Those jobs aren't usually open for you to get in there. It'll be interesting what happens with San Antonio with the news we've heard of Pop. They've got a young star. Whoever gets in there is probably, if Pop can't come back, and God bless him, hope he can. But if he can't come back from the stroke, somebody's going to fall into a really good opportunity. But that is rare, to be honest with you. I'm watching, and we used to be able to grab food after the game, and I'd go right in the coach's room. They didn't care. I was a peer, I guess, of Brian for a couple of years anyway. And so I was sitting back in the corner, and one of the front office people came in, who's no longer in the front office, by the way, but he was here. And B starts going off on a couple of players. Not care. Remember, that's the same year they went 1-2-3 Cancun. They didn't care. And he starts going off on 2-3 guys. I'm trying to get with this front office guy. Dog, I'm trying to get small. I don't even want to walk out of the room to remind people I'm in there, right? And I mean, it was a world-class berating of this front office guy. And the front office guy goes, B, calm down, man. Calm down. I'm with you, dog. You're absolutely right. You're right. We're going to take care of this. We're going to take care of this. And that's how he calmed him down. We're in Philadelphia. Fast forward, I think we played Boston back-to-back nights. I think we have Boston the next night. I'm walking out. Well, that guy, the front office guy, is out in front of me, turns the corner. It's a long hallway, turns the corner. All of a sudden, I see him, and he's talking with Ty Lawson. And as I walk by, I hear, dog, don't listen to him. You ain't got to listen to him. You be you. You do what you want to do, man. We got your back. We got you. You don't have to listen to him. That's a front office guy. Brian Shaw might not have been a great coach, but when you've got front office working against you like that, guess what you ain't going to do? Succeed. And the funny thing is they fired Brian. I don't know if he got the whole year or not, or he fired him late, one of the two. Hasn't even applied for head coach since. I asked him all the time. I said, no, he told me, he said, I'm happy being an assistant. In fact, I talked to him this year about that. But the funny thing is they got rid of Brian, but guess what? Every one of them guys he was bitching about to this front office guy were traded within a year or two. All gone. Go. None of them on the team. So he wasn't wrong. He probably would have helped him better. And I would suggest this for all young guys. You gotta have a either a veteran coach that's been there, done that to help you. But more importantly, it's got to be a guy that's your guy, that has your back, that trusts you. We had an example of that within the last decade in the Broncos. I thought Vance Joseph, the job he's doing coaching defense right now is phenomenal. Should be the defensive coordinator of the year. That's how good they're playing, in my opinion. But when he got the head coach, guess what? Oh, by the way, here's your offensive coordinator. By the way, here's your quarterback's coach. Oh, by the way, here's your – and he didn't get to pick his guys. And that's another thing that happens with first time coaches is now you don't have my guys around me. You got upstairs guys all around you. And who are those guys going to be loyal to? You or the guy upstairs? And that was just in the last 7-8 years.
Yeah. Well, I think Westhead easily was the top of that
Yeah,
list. All right.
you got to go
The
long
Avs,
winded. Westhead's the worst. You can put Brian up there. I'll tell you what was the one Granado with the Avs? That wasn't a great stint.
yeah, I threw that out there, but I had Sacco ahead of him. Although to be honest with you, it's all kind of the same thing. All right, Avs just had a brutal power play. Couldn't get anything done. Barely got any shots. They're 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. It began with a lost faceoff. So they're at the 7:19 mark, still 2-1 LA. The Avs have kind of been a little scrambling tonight. Don't love it. Although they did get one that popped out. The puck luck went their way. Puck pops out to the net, went to our guy Logan O'Connor, and he had more time than he realized, and he just sailed the shot wide. Scott's off. Where are you going? New Orleans? Is it New Orleans Friday? Right?
Friday to New Orleans. We have boarding starts at 12:30 p.m. We go to New Orleans tomorrow. New Orleans Friday. We'll spend the night after the game Friday. We'll fly to Memphis on Saturday. Be in Memphis Saturday. Play Sunday. In Memphis. Spend the night. Stay there Monday. Play Memphis again Tuesday, and that'll be the second Cup game.
Oh, good. All right. Yeah, I forgot. We're into that thing. All right. Real quick, Broncos Falcons this weekend. I asked Nate this question. I'll ask you. It's a pretty even matchup. Now, again, the statistics, and we'll see if the statistics are true. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But it does not appear that this Atlanta team can rush the passer very well. So that could set up another situation like Carolina, where maybe Bo will have more time than he's usually had. Sean's good against the NFC South, but Atlanta Broncos probably pretty evenly matched. Do you trust the Broncos to handle business? Are we trusting them yet when in an even matchup? I certainly have gotten to the point where I trust them. Like, I don't think they're losing games they should win anymore. Like that Jets game, although they kind of lost the Seattle game. They should have won that one, but that was the beginning of the year.
Too, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, but first couple of games, I think this is a good test to see if they handle business against a team they should, even though you're evenly matched.
I think there's 5, 6 just crappy bottom feeder teams in the league. Maybe more, maybe
I would
7.
agree. 6, 7.
And I think there's 5, 6 really good elite teams.
I'd stick around 5. I'm with you around 5.
Well, let's figure them out. Kansas City.
Yep.
Buffalo.
Yep. Baltimore.
Detroit.
Detroit, you got to put in there. And look, I think the Eagles with Saquon are starting to get their mojo back, but I'd probably cut it off around there.
And it'll be interesting to see if San Francisco can tread water and start getting Deebo Samuels and all.
C-Mac is back. We'll see what happens with Deebo. Yeah, we'll see. Kittle, all those guys. They got a lot. Bosa's got to come back. All that. But yeah, I think Detroit, Buffalo, KC are all making loud statements for being, and Baltimore, loud statements for being Super Bowl contenders. The problem is I guess there's a couple in each conference that way.
Well, but the point being, there's 5, 6, 7 crap
it's
teams.
The usual NFL, right?
Great team. And then there's 20 teams in the middle that are the same.
Pretty much.
Give or take. Give or take a game here and there. We'll see what happens.
Ranton just tied it up on a breakaway, Scotty. Yahtzee, 2-2.
Your best part of your game is your defense. The best part of their game is their offense. So you got best and best. Now is the deciding factor is, can your offense click and roll for more than a half of football? Kelsey brothers were doing their podcast today, and Jason Kelsey
Travis.
Travis
Travis
Kelce.
said,
Hey, Bo Nix was cooking, and Jason goes, the first half. He wanted to remind you. Yeah, he was the first half. Can't see if you agree with this. I don't think this offense had played in a complete game yet this year.
no.
And if they play a complete game, I think they beat Atlanta.
Yeah, remember, they only scored in the second quarter of that last game. Now, they should have kicked that field goal, and they should have got the points in the fourth quarter. But nonetheless, this offense is a little like the Rockies offense. The Rockies offense will give you an inning or two of scoring, and that's it. The Broncos offense needs to get more consistent against good teams scoring. And look, I give Bo credit. Bo said it after the game. We got to start going down and getting touchdowns, and we need touchdowns. We got to help the defense out. He's not looking to find excuses or anything. Avs are storming the net again. So I give Bo credit. You know what? Again, Scotty, and we're not going to know. We're really not going to know for a couple, 3 years. I know people don't want that answer, but that's just kind of how this stuff all works. There's a lot about Bo's mind, his demeanor, just what feels like a little bit of leadership. There is a lot about Bo that I like. I still have questions. Is there enough arm in there? Now maybe you get the footwork right in the offseason, and yes, there'll be plenty of arm in there. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen. He doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson. But there are still, I had a guy tell me, I was talking to a former player the other day, and he goes, he still has throws that he's got to have that he ain't getting. So, and it's been consistent that a couple of those got to have distances he's not getting. Now, I thought that was a great pass. I think it was his pass of his season so far to Cortland Sutton for that touchdown. Right in stride, right down the field. Great play.
I agree.
And I think you got to give the guy a ton of success I give the guy major kudos for the pass on third down so they could salt the clock away, because guess what? There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't make that pass and allow you to keep possession.
But I'll point also, counting the stupid run to set the field goal up, which I didn't like, but they had 12 plays in that drive. Guess what? 7 of them were runs. So you want Bo Nix to keep having more success. That should be a roadmap for Sean Payton right there. It can't just be on the kid. In fact, it might have been 11 plays. It might have been 7-4. 7-4, but he connected on the ones that he needed to. But you threw a running game threat at him, including, if you remember, they get the first down, driving down late. They handed off the next play, and I think that Estime ran for like 6 yards, 5-6 yards. You're down in the tough area, and you're able to do that. So hopefully Sean Payton will have learned something. You and I have been preaching this. We preached this last year with Russ. Give him what's he doing in Pittsburgh? Give him a running game, get some play action working, and let's see if the guy can cook a little bit. And I think if they can give him a running game, listen. If Estime, see if you agree with this. If Estime runs or whoever going to be their lead back this year, the biggest doghouse in the Broncos is whoever's running back. But if Estime can rush for 100 yards this weekend, they win. No doubt in my mind.
They'll control pace. I agree. And look, I don't think Kirk Cousins gets away from the rush all that well right now. And the Broncos have a nasty pass rush. They should win this game. But I think there is an X factor with the fact that Justin Simmons knows very well Vance Joseph's defense, because he played for Vance twice in his career. And, he still has some knowledge about what the Broncos offense is wanting to do. Not all of it. They've changed a little of it. So that's a funny thing. They've changed some of it with Bo. And at the end of the day, it's what you just described. In order to win games, they've got to win games with Bo the same way they had to win it with Russ, because that's how most quarterbacks, they need a run game. So just run the ball. Just accept it. And don't, again, when did Bo get sacked? When you tried to go wide and Spagnuolo was bringing the blitzers. Don't set that up, dude. Stack a couple tight ends out there. You know what I mean? Don't set Bo up to have to run for his life, because more teams are going to blitz him the way the Chiefs did. You went 3 wide. Spagnuolo said, fine, we're bringing everybody.
Hey, here's another thing. I don't know if you saw the stats. Tight ends only caught 3 balls, but caught 3 balls for 58 yards.
That's
tight end available. Make them a part of your offense. If you don't have three great receivers and you're down Reynolds,
Well, Reynolds did start practicing today, but I don't know if he'll be back.
Who?
Reynolds did start his practice window today.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Although I'm telling you, I was on him in training camp, and I'm on him now. If Vele ain't heavy in your game plan, you're stupid. Dude's got glue hands.
I'm with you. All right, my man. We'll wrap this thing up. Still 2-2 Avs. About a minute 22 left to go in this second period. You're going to be traveling. Couple travel dates. Then you come on back. We'll we'll keep watching Twitter, folks. Andy_Lindahl. I'll tweet out when we're going to do it. We're going to try to do a couple of post game shows, I think, because we got those big NBA Cup games going on. So anyway, enjoy the evening. All there you go. A little soccer in the background. It's like there's summer in your mind. We'll talk to you all like nothing else in a week.
There's my daughter right there.
Say goodnight, Ellie.
Good night, Ellie.